Welcome back. Today we'll be talking about everything the pre-sequel did right. Now, this is a video I've been meaning to make for a long time because when I was comparing all the Borderlands games, I kind of lashed into this one a little bit. A lot of it's deserved, but really all the crap I give it is a good game. It's a lot of fun, and it's only really a bad game when compared to the other ones. So I'd like to just make this video to right that wrong. Tell you all the good things it did. Some of the bad things I will highlight again, some of the things I missed, all that jazz. But this is going to be talking about what the game did right. So without further ado, let's get right into it. As always, be sure to leave a comment, tell me how to get better. Check out my other channel, YC Games. And yeah, that about does it. Let's get on with it. Before I talk about all the good in this game, I do kind of want to take a step back and tell my story about why I don't like it as much as it deserves, because to me this was the first game I really got excited for. I watched all the trailers, I watched all the YouTube videos about trailer analysis, all the gameplay breakdown. I was super excited. Me and my one friend were really excited. We just watched the heck out of anything we could about this game. We were super pumped. This was the first game I was really extremely hyped for. And we bought it from the store day one. We got the last 2 copies in the store. That's absolutely true. They were completely out of Xbox 360 copies. There were only 2 copies left for the PS3. And we almost freaked out because we thought they were out. It was an insane day. And I was really excited for it. I was really pumped. And I got home and it was just it was a great game, but for how hyped I was, it wasn't as great as it should have been. And that's kind of why I made the other video about why we shouldn't get too excited for Borderlands 3, because I don't want that same thing to happen. At the same time, it's really hard not to get hyped for Borderlands 3. So I'm going to leave it at that. Just remember, don't get too hyped for Borderlands 3, and that's why I wasn't upset about the game, just a little disappointed because of all the promises it made, and it did deliver, but not as much as I'd hoped it would. If that makes any sense, it really doesn't. But anyway, that's just my background on why I personally don't like it. Now let's get right into what makes this game actually good. For a lot of people, the story can make or break a game. Not me personally. I can play a game with an absolutely terrible story as long as it has really good gameplay, but a good story definitely helps. And also there are some games I love just because of the story. So for this game, it's iffy, because in my opinion the main story is kind of garbage. I really don't care what's going on. I don't care who Zarpedon is. I don't really care why we're doing any of this junk. The really interesting thing and what this game does right with the story, though, is Handsome Jack's in the background, like what he's going on in his head. Now sometimes it does come to the forefront, and it's kind of annoying sometimes where they emphasize him turning evil, but the subtle things he does every once in a while, that's what I notice, and that's the cool part about this game, is you can see him start off as just some employee of Hyperion, and you can see him kind of come into his own as this evil CEO towards the end. Now, like I said, sometimes it's a little in your face. I would like it more to be in the background, but it did a good job of showing people that wouldn't notice, like, hey, now he's doing a little more evil thing, rather than just have him at the end be randomly killing people and you have no idea why. So it makes sense why they brought it to the forefront once in a while. But that's just a really cool thing, because it does set up his character in Borderlands 2, because, like I've said a million times, I think he's an excellent villain. Now granted, I think he should have ended in Borderlands 2, his story and everything. I really didn't need to know his background, but it's still cool that we got to see it, and I am glad that I did get to experience it firsthand. But at the same time, it was kind of odd every once in a while what he did, like at one point he just killed 3 scientists because he thought one of them might still betray him. And yeah, that's just kind of part of him turning into the psychopath. But at the same time, at that point, it seemed unnecessary. So sometimes they did go a little extreme and I'm curious as to why they made the certain decisions at certain points in the game that they did. But I think it all works out in the end, and it was really cool to see him turn into who we see him in Borderlands 2. Because obviously he wasn't always just some evil prick. And actually, Game Theory does have a really good video, it's a few years old now, about if Handsome Jack's the hero or the villain. And he goes into more detail about his backstory and everything that I couldn't all fit into one video. So definitely check that video out. Yeah, let's just move on then. Now I can't really say much about the other Vault Hunters because I've only actually completed the full game with Athena, and I think I did the Baroness a long time ago. But Athena is definitely a good improvement for a Vault Hunter. Now, she's definitely not the best. Like, I still personally think that Maya from Borderlands 2 is like the best Vault Hunter, but that's just me. You know, I think she's great. But Athena is definitely fun to play as. Her shield, you know, it's not super overpowered. At times it can feel that way sometimes though. But she's just really fun to play as. She's like Krieg or Brick in that way. Like, it's not, alright, deploy the turret, alright, deploy these drones, alright, deploy this, and be done with it. No, you have it with you. You are constantly using it. It doesn't last very long, so you know, you absorb much damage as you can, boom, launch right back at them. I think that's just a great mechanic. She's definitely just fun to play as. Now, like I said, she's not super OP, she's not really special in any way. I just thought she was a really fun Vault Hunter to play as. And if they do bring one back for another game, I would definitely be willing to play as her again because that shield is just so fun to use. And that's just something that this game did great, was her. Now, like I said, I really can't say much about the other Vault Hunters because a lot of them were just, alright, deploy the drone. You know, what was his name? Wilhelm had the drone. Baroness had that cryo thing. Jack had his body doubles. I mean, it was a lot of that, and that does suck, but Athena was just one that shined for me because you were constantly involved in her skill. It wasn't just deploy and forget. It was just a fun character to play as, and I commend them for that. It was great. Cryo was another good improvement. The flip side was at times this did feel OP. Now, granted, a cryo gun wouldn't freeze enemies very quickly, but if you had a grenade, or especially a ground pound, what do you call them? Ozkits, that's it. That does cryo damage. It's pretty easy to freeze enemies and they're exposed and even weakened. So, it was a good improvement, don't get me wrong, it was a good inclusion. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good mechanic, you know, the way they froze, the way you break them and they break off in that direction. It was a good addition to the game. I want to establish that I really think it was a good addition. It could have been handled not necessarily differently, or not even necessarily better, just it could have been handled, yeah, I guess differently would be the better word. It could have been handled differently. Now, not completely differently, because I do like it, I do enjoy it, I think it was handled well. It just could have been slightly different. And not necessarily in a better way, but different. That's what I'm really trying to say. I did enjoy it. I hear a lot of people didn't like it because it was pretty OP, and it was just kind of odd, but I personally really enjoyed it, and I think that's great on them for including it. This one's a tricky one, because I did enjoy it at first. The low gravity did get kind of old at times, and because it was included in so much of the game, it almost felt weird not having it on Hyperion, or Helios, excuse me. So, I think it's great that they included it. It was a great experiment, and that's really what this game did great in general, is just experimenting. You know, adding the cryo, the talking, and the Vault Hunters talking, the jumping, all that jazz. They did a great job in experimenting. And this is one of them that maybe not necessarily get rid of, but tone it back a little bit. Like I mentioned in one of my Borderlands 3 predictions videos, I wouldn't mind if they still included it in Borderlands 3. Maybe if we do travel different planets, only include it on a few of them, not overwhelming where it feels weird when it's taken away, but just a couple small areas where, yeah, you can jump higher now. And maybe not include Oz kits as much, but just have like a general, alright, it's low gravity now. You don't have to have an oxygen mask on, but you can jump higher, and maybe even include the butt slam. The other problem with it is that the butt slam did definitely seem overpowered at times, especially if you had a cryo one. I know at times, especially in the beginning of the game, and even towards later, if there's a group of enemies, I would just butt slam after butt slam after butt slam after butt slam, just wipe them all out. It did get overpowered at times, but it was still a fun mechanic, and it did get old faster than it should have. It was definitely well liked, I guess, by me for the most part, and it definitely could have been handled better. But I do applaud them for trying, and like I said, experimenting, because that's what makes a great game. Some experiments work, some don't work out. I just hope they learn from this and tone it back in Borderlands 3. Now, one of my biggest complaints about the pre-sequel is that there was a lack of variety in enemies, which is kind of ironic because obviously I'm talking about the good they did in this game. And a lot of them felt just like reskinned versions of past enemies. Some of them not even reskinned, like the stalkers I'm fighting right now. They just up and brought them back. And I realized that they brought them back to kind of serve the story as to how Handsome Jack got his invisibility thing. And I get that, but you could have just mentioned that, hey, we got him from stalkers, rather than including one of the most annoying enemies from Borderlands 2, in my opinion, back in the game, and featuring so prominently on Helios. That's just me. And a lot of them, like the lunatics, were just obviously psychos reskinned. Whatever they're called were nomads. A lot of them were just reskinned and differently named enemies, which was kind of a pain. But at the same time, they did introduce some new ones, like the Torques. I thought those were interesting. Nothing spectacular. But where the game really shined were Kragons. Now, obviously it makes no sense. An enemy, you kill it and it breaks off into smaller versions of itself. It makes no sense. I'm sure it's in some mythology somewhere. I don't care, do the research. But I thought it was just a fun enemy. Like, it was an interesting concept. Yeah, it made no sense, but I personally didn't care. I thought it was neat. And that's really what I want from my enemies, especially the animals. And I did mention that in one of my predictions videos for Borderlands 3, is I want them to include more enemies like that. They don't need to make sense, they just need to be fun. That's the most important thing, just being a fun enemy to go up against. And Kragons really nailed it, so good on PreSequel for including something like that. Makes no sense, I think that's fantastic. They were just a fun enemy, and I hope we do more like that in the future. Now this category kind of ties in with the story one, but I don't care. I just love the concept so much that I made its own category. One of my favorite draws to the Borderlands franchise is that we're not the good guys, nor necessarily the bad guys. It's a blurry line, but not blurry like, oh, the good guy might be right on this one. No. It's, you're doing a good thing, but not necessarily in a good way. Like, in this game, you're murderers, thieves. You pillage, you kill. It's fun. It's supposed to be fun. And at the end of the day, you're trying to fight this massive threat. And it brings up the debate, is Handsome Jack the good guy or the bad guy in Borderlands 2, and the pre-sequel for that matter. Now, Borderlands 2 made it more obscure, like, oh yeah, you're the good guys, everyone's telling you you're the good guy. But deep down, you really don't think you're the good guy, at least for me. Because I knew I wasn't the good guy, I was just trying to stop change, really. That's all you're doing in Borderlands 2. And it feels like you are the good guy at times, but at the same time, you could be the bad guy. And that's great. I love that concept. Like, you don't always have to be the good guy. And the pre-sequel did that pretty good too. Because they tell you you're the good guy, But really in the back of your head, you know you're the bad guy because you're helping the bad guy from the next game. And you know that. Like, the player knows that going in. But it's interesting to see the characters kind of change. Like, maybe we're not doing the best of things right now. Like in this scene that's coming up right now, you can tell that Athena, and this is also great where the talking can come in, where I think they should include that in Borderlands 3 is the talking, because Athena even kind of mentions, that wasn't good, why'd you do that? If you remember the scene, just kind of watch in the background, I guess, read subtitles. So yeah, I think that's great, that a game can balance between, yeah, you're the good guy, but also you're the bad guy. And the PreSequel did that great. And I would love to see that more in the future. This obscure line of, are we the good, are we the bad? Does anyone care? Yes.
We're gonna head off and shut it down, but I'm gonna summon my personal assistant.
So yeah, that's about all I got for this one. I just wanted to make it to right the wrong of hating on this game, because it is really a fun game. Just it's not as good as Borderlands 2 in my opinion. Obviously playing that one first, it does draw comparisons, and it's hard not to compare them. But really on its own, it is fun, and it is worth playing through because it's fun. It gives you backstory, and yeah, I know I hate on it too much, and I do apologize for that. I probably will continue to hate on it in the future whenever I'm talking about it, because it was such a letdown for me, and it's a shame because it is a fun game. So that's why I just want to make this video to say everything I did enjoy about it, everything great about it, and yeah, that's all I got. Be sure to leave a comment, tell me how to improve. Always looking for improvement. A comment helps a ton. Subscribe if you feel like it. If you want to stay updated, all that junk. Be sure to check out my other channel, YC Games. Just finished a video about me and my friends doing the Vespucci job in GTA. Pretty fun, random craziness if you haven't seen it or played it. It's a fun time. Yeah, that's it. Oh, one more thing. Sorry to keep you here for so long. If you keep watching, hey, that's great on you. Deserve a high five. Leave a comment. Tell me any future video you want me to make. Any comment with a video suggestion, I will make. Guaranteed. So be sure to leave it. Doesn't have to be about Borderlands 3. It can be about anything. I'm not just constricted to Borderlands. I can talk about any game, any life topic in general. I do want to start a new series, actually, about ranting about different things, because I do think it's helpful whenever I just unleash everything I hate about the world onto someone else. So hey, that could be you guys. I could unleash everything I hate onto you guys. Also, I find it very helpful hearing other people complain about things. So leave a comment, tell me the things you hate, just about life in general. I will include that in my rant.
We're close to completing the mission.
And, you know, try to take whatever side you're on. Just because it does help me, at least. I do think it's nice hearing other people hate the same things I hate. So leave that comment. I'll make a video about hating it. So yeah, that about does it. Sorry if this one took so long. See you next one, hopefully, if I haven't driven you away by now.